what makes great music and what makes trash music in today's era. You can decide that. You can have your own thoughts, but the reality is we all have to answer to fans. And what do our peers think in terms of other music industry people? What do our peers think in terms of other artists? What is good music today? Has that changed? I'm Brandman Sean.
And I'm Corey.
And this is yet another episode of No Labels Necessary. Replay value, replay value, replay value. That is constantly positioned as the number one measurement. What makes a great song? What makes great art? I hear this all the time. Oh man, I can't play Kendrick Lamar that much. We heard it a lot in the value. Oh, that's in the battle. Oh, his music is boring, or I can't bump that in the car, or I won't play that in the club. So let's do a status report, right? Because you have replay value, but there's other measures to music, right?
Mm-hmm. I think impact, how it ages, the environments you can play it in, I feel like go towards replay value, but it's kind of different at the same time. Yeah, I think it's right? different enough. Yeah.
But how much do these things matter? And then you have like impact, substance, etc. Here's a couple things to me. I say to just straighten this whole conversation out. I feel like this conversation needs a little straightening. You got a reality that a lot of people don't realize. Most people out here don't love music. Most fans don't love music. Most people love songs. Most people don't love music. So we have to service a market that loves songs and doesn't even understand music, to be real.
That's true.
All right. So I differentiate this thing. There's art, there's music, and there's songs. That's the way this whole conversation needs to be thought of. And which one are you trying to be great at in that given moment? If you have a song, that's when we lean into that heavy replay value, I feel like.
Okay.
But art, we talked about this one. Kendrick Lamar's Mr. Morale.
Yeah.
Just because that's played maybe once a year, does that mean that doesn't have high art quality?
I don't think so. Well, I mean, once a year is kind of crazy, but I get what you're saying. But
it's about the impact. Hey, look, I don't like to be in certain emotions all the time, but I might have to go to a bag when I need the impact. So it's about an impact. So tell me this: if I only look at the Mona Lisa once a year, or whenever it comes out in conversations, does that mean that the Mona Lisa isn't great art?
No, I see what you're doing, man. No, you're right. That's a good point.
That doesn't make sense.
That's a good point, yeah.
Right? Like the replay value. How many times do I look at this picture? That's a dumb argument to me when it comes to art. It doesn't make sense. All right? We're talking about impact, meaning, substance when it comes to art. So if the impact this song had on me made me change my life, the direction of my life. If Tupac had multiple songs in his catalog that made me see the world completely differently, that POV change, which is a huge part of art, the transference of one POV to others, that's high as it gets. All right, that's art. Now we got music and songs to talk about. But that's my one category now. You got something to debate in that category, add to it, let me know. And we'll get to the other categories and then really break it down.
Yeah, my only point of contingency, my only debate is that when is the last time you saw a great piece of art and you weren't compelled to go see it again? You know what I'm saying? Like even like I love art, right? Like there are some exhibits, every time they hit the High Museum, I go check them out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There are certain pieces or certain artists that if you were traveling and you saw their work in a museum that happened to be, wherever you were at, you would probably go check it out. So I would argue like great art makes you want to come back. I think it depends on who it is. Like, and I mean the actual fan.
Okay. Right? Because we go back to impact side of it, which I think is even more meaningful. Remember we had a conversation. I was like, there's artists that I listen to more that I haven't paid as much money when it comes to supporting them in terms of merch, etc. Because it's just easier to listen and it might match the mood. But the impact on me is shallow, right? So there's levels to this, and there's different bars, right? If it's a video game character, what's your strength? What's your speed? What's your stamina? Like, what's your power?
Yeah.
Look like? What's your special moves and package? Do you have a haymaker that was so crazy, that it hit hard, and maybe the rest of your catalog doesn't go crazy, right? But you had that one haymaker song that still just is so high, and so high of an impact that it still puts you in a crazy light. Which I got an artist in mind out, but it might cause a negative purview. I don't mean it any negative, so I'm not gonna bring it up exactly right now. But so it's not that I don't think that you should ever want to play a song again, but the idea of because I played it 100 times versus 5 times or 20 times in a given period, to me is false.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And the idea just because it matches more environments, again, yeah, okay, that means it's general and it probably has less depth, but it's easier to play. So what does that mean? And when we talk about impact, that's when we start to get into aging over time. And I mean aging without commercial support. Because a lot of times when we talk about, this song has so much longevity, what we're talking about is the fact that corporations have ownership of this song. And because the song moves in so many environments easily, corporations keep feeding it into society. So generations know the song and are familiar with the song. Therefore, we have longevity. It's not the song in and of itself having an impact and substance that you look back and study and find meaning over time. Those are two completely different things. So I think even longevity and, again, replay value are skewed by capitalism. And I don't even mean that in some type of, anti-capitalism. I'm not one of those people that just like throw those kind of things out there. I'm just saying there's an inherent, beneficial relationship that happens when it comes to songs that might have higher replay value because they're easy to listen to, right? Replay value and easy to listen to go hand in hand, and then capitalist support of feeding it into the environment to continue to profit off of it because it's easier also goes along in that conversation. So that, to me, bam, when we're talking about art and you get into that bag, keep that shit out of the art bag. Now we get into music bag. That's also another bag. Song bag. Here's the music bag to me. Music is literally musicality. People aren't listening to the instrumentation. Most people don't understand the cadences, the choruses. This is a big issue that I have when people bring up. I got in a debate recently on IG with people talking about Prince. I think somebody called Stevie. It was Robert Glasper calling Stevie Wonder the greatest artist of all time. He was talking about the styles that he's introduced that other people copy, certain choruses, and all these things that he does that are unique to him that actually got copied. And then many people would say stuff like, oh, well, you forgot about Prince. Prince plays 27 instruments. To me, that's an argument that a non-musician makes, right? It's just a cool fact, but how well does he play these instruments? Is he being innovative in each of these spaces? Like, it's not a music conversation. A lot of times fans think they have music conversations and they're not having music conversations. And for those who think I'm hating on Prince, it's not that I don't believe he plays 27 instruments, but I'm like, if you haven't seen him play it, like, why are you talking about it? And this is just secondhand information. I actually believe the idea that the best argument of Prince being the greatest artist of all time, or one of them, being that he plays 27 instruments, is actually deductive to Prince's actual greatness, right? Because you're just saying that because you don't understand chord transitions and the fact that he played in this unorthodox way in the reference to this particular song when most people would have played it that way, or how fast he was able to create certain things. And like there's so many different ways that you can like bust down the greatness of a Prince. But like, to me, again, that just alludes to music specifically, understanding of music versus I like the output of music, which is a song itself, but I only like songs because songs are what do you call it? They're a pleasurable packaging of actual music, but the songs don't necessarily encompass music itself. as a whole.
What do you mean?
Songs are an output, but they aren't. Like, I can play music without it being considered a song.
Okay. All right, I get what you're saying.
And a lot of people don't understand music if it's not a song. It's a digestible way of presenting the idea of the music.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Okay. I got you. I mean, I agree with that for the most part, because I think to your point, longevity is a touchy one, because if you start thinking about a lot of your most iconic songs of a generation, it usually came from like a movie or through like a video game. I think we've the last big song I could think of that I feel like was created because of a cultural moment was probably maybe like the Young Jeezy Obama song. You know what I'm saying? That's the last one I can think of. And even that I'm thinking about today. It's like, okay, you know, that was kind of like, I don't want to say capitalism, but America, politics and capitalism. So embedded together. It was kind of like, all right, this is what came out of that. There's a message behind it. There was a cultural movement behind it, but there's no longevity necessarily in it because the cultural moment has passed.
Right.
And
until the next president is
black. Yeah, exactly. Whenever that comes back around.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man, because I think to give consumers a little bit of credit, I think they do have the ability to recognize like art in a song, or I guess a more artistic version of a song. I do think.
I disagree, but do tell.
I think it's there because. All right, well, let me go back. Maybe not mass media, maybe not mass music fans.
Yeah.
But I think music fans have the capacity.
I think some do.
Because we see artistic artists and projects ebb in and out of mainstream. Like, they're not. It's never a point in time where I will argue that like all of mainstream is dominated by artistic artists. But like there are periods where like you'll see like, oh, it's a window where it's like Tyler the Creator, The Weeknd, and like I don't know, I'm trying to think of somebody. Kendrick Lamar all lit at the same time, and it's like we're getting that. We're seeing that there'll be a wave, there'll be a window, and then something changes to where maybe that's not as prevalent anymore. But the consumers are still here; they're still the same people.
That's the genius of the artist, not the consumer. That's the artist finally finding that moment of how do I reach the masses while maintaining the quality of my art, and that's the primary challenge that most artists face.
That's true, yeah.
If you actually care about the quality of the art, because you can do it, it's just a harder equation, right? So to me, that's the genius of the artist, not the consumer. But if you look at any category, that just is how it is, right? There's many categories that you and I are the dumb consumer that I'm talking about right now.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
Just like in sports, there's always people who like, I really understand the game because I was in it, I studied it, and I played Madden. Right? Then you got the people who just played Madden, never actually played the sport. Right? Then you got the people who never played any of the video games or the real game, but they appreciate the sport and they have their home team. Then you got people who just checking in the Super Bowl. There's always going to be the levels, right? And the masses just happen to be the area that's not as into or understands the craft. That's just how it is. Some people understand how TVs work. Some people can follow a TV guide and put that thing together, but I don't quite understand it truly. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, so to me, it's just the nature of the game, like, at the end of the day. But there's different conversations that come along with understanding music. And I think the frustration that many artists have is trying to get people to appreciate music when you're never going to get the masses to appreciate music. You're going to get them to appreciate the songs that come from how you package the music, but that isn't necessarily the music itself. You can get a lot of people, you can do something really great like Kendrick does, right? He gets a lot of people to dissect like his music from an art form standpoint, but it's very, very hard. And most people aren't going to be able to get people to study their art, their music as art. Because that's what he did.
Agreed.
right? That's way, way harder. Most people are just going to consume songs and care about what relates to them. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? It's like, oh, if your music doesn't like touch on my, which is another reason I might not replay it. Your songs might speak to my everyday life and resonate with me where I am. That one I might appreciate more from technical, musical, and artistic. But hey, you know what I'm saying? At this moment, maybe I'm dogging, maybe I'm a player, maybe I'm like Twerk Fest is my every weekend. So I'm gonna play this because it suits my lifestyle. But I also have the, you know, ability to say, all right, how artistic and useful is this beyond that, right? Let me take a quick second because a lot of people talk about monetizing their fans, but the reality is you can't monetize fans that you don't have. So I want to talk to you about the easiest way to create fans consistently that actually want to buy from you, because here's the secret. We've helped artists make over $1 million, indie artists. And the truth is, once you actually have fans, they will buy wherever you ask them to buy from you. So if you want to understand how we've done this consistently, you've heard us talk about Forever Fan before. It's our system and software that our agency uses to create fans, manage their fan base, and brand the artist in a way that allows them to express their individuality. Get access and try for completely free if you go to foreverfanmusic.com/no labels. Again, that's www.foreverfanmusic.com/no labels. And the cool part about it is I'm in there constantly answering questions for artists. And on top of getting access to this software, you'll get access to me as one of the people who are constantly helping artists who use the program, answering questions and guiding you in a way that makes sense for you. Stop hoping for lucky viral moments and invest in a fan base that'll last forever. Check out foreverfanmusic.com/no labels. Supporting them is supporting us. So these companies know that we've built a valuable community, which allows us to keep putting out these videos for free. Back to the episode. Here's another example of musicality, and I think it's more of a music conversation, and it's going to sound controversial because there's a line that I see between Young Dro and Biggie Smalls.
All right. Okay.
Now, this is just for this song, just one particular song, right? But this is a musical conversation. Young Dro on Shoulder Lean. This isn't me comparing Young Dro to Biggie as an artist as a whole, for those of y'all who, you know, are going to go that direction. But Young Dro on Shoulder Lean, his flow actually, to me, reaches the musical uniqueness of Biggie's flow. If you really listen back to it, of how jazz-like their flows are. That is an extremely unique flow. He only really did it on that song. Biggie was known for his flow being more like jazz in the way he approached the music. Listen to, matter of fact, we're going to pause the pod, and Corey's going to listen to this.
I'm rapping the song in my head.
You got to listen to this genius. You got to listen to this genius. Tell me, bro. Tell me, is that flow not unique? It's the cadences. It's literally, I'm talking technically. This is not about what he says and is he Biggie Smalls, none of that. The actual, like, upbeat, downbeat, where everything is landing, their pause. You might, I don't know if you are into jazz and all these other things and how much you like Biggie or not, but how unique is that flow?
Nah, it's a unique, I give it to him. It's definitely a unique flow. You know what I'm saying?
That's all I'm saying. But that's a musical conversation. That's all I'm saying. And so you're listening for different things. Like, I'm just happen to be somebody who grew up listening to hella records, because that was like, I used to literally as a kid play games where my dad made me guess whose voice is this, what instrument are they playing, like the actual brand of the guitar, which guitar, like all that type of stuff. So like my ear had been trained for that type of thing. But with that being said, most people don't care to have those conversations, and it's not a bad thing. Like, and this is again why I think artists struggle, because not only is it a norm for most people not to understand the craft to a superior level of depth, most people don't have time for it. But we try to shame fans for not appreciating level of music to the level that we do, right? Oh, y'all don't appreciate art to the level. No, that's just the way the world works. You aren't any better just because you understand, because there's a billion categories where you're that dumb person. Mm-hmm. So with that being said, though, again, you have to understand, most people don't love music. Most people love songs. Now, so when we're talking about musicality, how are we grading this? We have to be able to understand those elements to even judge it in that way, in my opinion. And a lot of people are just saying, hey, this is all music. Well, if you don't understand some of these elements, now you end up looking like somebody just saying, because Prince played 27 instruments, he's better than Stevie Wonder, as you argue with Robert Glasper. And you look like an idiot because that's your only argument when he's talking about like shit that just sounds like a completely different language to you, right? Yeah. And there's levels to that. Like I can go to a level of that conversation, but I can't go nowhere near a Robert Glasper myself, right? So that's why I think music is a separate conversation if you really bust it down. And then obviously, then we got songs, right? So we got art, we got music, then songs. Songs, we're really going to get into melody and replay value. Those are my two main measurements for like when we're talking about songs. Like, you know, and when you actually categorize it away from those two, but what other quality measurements can you think of?
For the song in particular, replay, probably, I think it is just that. It's lyrics, replay value, melody, and maybe cultural awareness might play a part.
Yeah. Lyrics can go into art and song potentially. Mm-hmm. Flow can go into art, song and music. Yeah. Right? Because your voice can be an actual instrument. The way you flow is an actual instrument. I think that song, lyrics, I guess the beat. So we separate that obviously from melody. So, you know, the beat.
Yeah, because I guess like the way my brain differentiates them is I look at the songs I tend to think of as like artsy songs or more artistic. Very rarely have to do with just the song itself. Like it's usually a package situation. So it's the music, maybe the way the music was presented, maybe the visuals for it, maybe the look of the artist, maybe like whatever the real world things that to me like art is like a overall journey.
That's a very good point.
You know what I'm saying? Like a song being a good song is like that's where the journey ends. It's like, okay, you put the melodies together, you put the lyrics together, you put the cadence together, you made something palatable to listen to. Art was like, okay, I made a palatable song, because most of the times even the songs we tend to think of as like good art usually still at least like good songs. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's like I did the bare minimum of making a good song at first, and then I built other things on top of it to expand the meaning or whatever I was trying to create. That to me is what separates song from art. And that's why I say like, because you can make the argument, I'm trying to think of a song that I feel like the average casual music fan wouldn't consider to be a super artistic song. Let's say
Apple Bottom Jeans.
There we go.
With the fur.
Let's say Apple Bottom Jeans by Flo Rida. Is there a world? And actually, I don't know. I don't know if I can't say that wasn't art, man, because he literally impacted culture off of that, bro. It's like he shifted fashion for the hood for at least 2 years. You know what I'm saying?
But that was T-Pain as a whole. That wasn't that song. You spin my head, like everything he did in that Flo Rida space. And I don't know if it was this episode or last episode at this point that you mentioned Flo Rida, but a lot of stuff that Flo Rida had, well, it was like more song than art, right? And then this is why I go against the idea of the quality being judged completely and it all being packaged as just like good music instead of being broken down between art, music, and song. Because something that wouldn't be considered having great replay value for a lot of people is one of my favorite songs of all time, right? Which is a song called Maggot Brains by the Funkadelic, right? This song is like 11 minutes.
Crazy.
And it's pretty much guitar riff the whole time. One of the amazing story of how the song even came about. Like, Buddy just went through a tragic moment, came to the studio, and just let his emotions out on the track, and you can really feel that, right? Made the guitar sing and be an extension of his emotions, right? Most people don't want to hear a song or music, right, without lyrics.
Yeah.
Right? Then you talk about it being 11 minutes long. Kendrick Lamar in his song Luther, he had Luther and what's her name? Cheryl, I believe. Can't remember her last name. Oh, but the song If the World Were Mine.
Okay.
If the World Were Mine is the name of the song, and Cheryl Lynn is the other person, the woman on the song with Luther, right? I was thinking, listening to that I should go check out the original again. It's been a minute. And then I'm just thinking about Luther. I played a whole Luther playlist. And I was like, what's crazy is if Luther came up today, Luther would have to have auto-tune. Luther couldn't just have this amazing voice that we know. He would have to be a completely different artist if he came up today. All right? Whitney would have to be a completely different artist if they came up today. That talent would basically have to be deduced to the way we package things today. Mm-hmm. And like the fact that we define things so simply, right, in terms of like we force people into this packaging and into the most digestible packaging, I think is a result of how we like to consume songs at that period of time. But the musicality of a Whitney, of a Luther, and how they're able to present their voice, because they're very musical like singers, mm-hmm. which is different, right, than just being able to blow, right? That doesn't change just because their songs suck or are good, or because they're in one era or another. That musicality is the musicality. You got better musicians who don't make as good song music as somebody who's a good song maker but isn't as good a musician. Yeah. We know this to be true, so it's hard to argue, right? And then what is the art? How you define the artist? Again, that is a moving target in so many ways. So to me, I hate to hear when we try to deduce music to replay value because of so much of what we said. And I think we too easily in the music community like allow songs to be deduced to replay value. And I think those of us, if you're an actual musician, right, or truly consider yourself an artist, or you're somebody who's a like music professional, we have to protect that meaning. We can communicate the difference, right, and understand, hey, yo, bro, I need a song right now, dog. Like all that musical stuff, I get it, but I need to, you know what I mean? I need to keep my job at this label. Like we can communicate it like in a way that's understandable and acknowledges the difference. And maybe we don't care as much about the musicality and art in this moment. Cool, right? That sucks, but at least it's realistic, but it doesn't deduce, right, the actual value of somebody's art, somebody's musical training, understanding, and talent. That's the way why, like for me, I think it's a conversation that needs to be had.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think you answered it earlier, right? It's like if I think it goes back to just artists innately care about what people think. And it just so happens that the group of people that they are forced to care about what they think don't care to kind of turn that care back the other way. Right? Like the average music fan isn't going to learn music theory or listen to music. Or, you know, you brought up you know, the point earlier about fans missing things. It makes me think of this clip I saw about what Benny Blanco was talking about, a song he worked on, and he realized like the people had sent the wrong version to the radio, but that shit's a hit, right? He's like, but he can hear like the stuff they messed up and left out, but like it's still on the radio and being the radio hit. And it's like, how many fans are gonna go in and go like, oh man, I could tell this is off by half a step. You know what I'm saying? Like, or go learn the terminology. Like, it's probably never going to happen. You know what I'm saying?
That's a brilliant example because I think that again defines the difference between music and the song and art, right? Because musically, that might have been wrong, but the song, the overall packaging, it was right for the package itself, and that's why it's actually beneficial to agree to have these fans, right, that don't understand the music, right? Because they're able to see, hear, consume, and feel things that aren't so bogged down. Because a lot of things that musicians get caught up in is they can't even fully feel music sometimes because they're so busy analyzing the technical aspect. Yeah.
That's it's like, bro, and if you've ever been in any type of art class with an art teacher being judged by, it sucks, bro. It sucks being judged around.
I felt the pain.
Bro, like,
it's real experience you're talking about.
It made me think about an art teacher I had in college, man. Man was, a menace, but a lot of times artists are some of the worst critics. Artists are some of the, because to your point, they think about the high level part of it instead of not realizing that the vast majority of people who are going to consume it are miles and miles and miles below high level, right? If you consider high level being a 10, the average music listener is a negative 0.5, you know what I'm saying? In terms of like caring about this stuff, and art in general is like this because you're caught between a rock and a hard place. I have this base of people that don't care to become more knowledgeable, but I have to service these people, you know what I'm saying? So I have to figure out a way, to your point about Tyler, right? Do I bide my time out and figure out how to make my art palatable, or do the hard work it takes to get people to understand me and want to stick around for me so that one day my art is just cool? Because I think that's a more accurate representation. Like Tyler's situation is like, he just stuck around long enough and kept making things that his people liked, to eventually the word got out, you know what I'm saying? And it kind of spread. But it's like, for Tyler, that was, 10 plus years easy, you know what I'm saying? To do something like that.
And what you're alluding to is something called timing, which Andre 3000 actually kind of acknowledged in some video where I'm paraphrasing, but he basically had the idea of, I was lucky to exist when I did.
Yeah.
My impact wouldn't have been necessarily the same with a different timing, which is why I even struggle to completely say impact. At some point, we just have to choose some things to measure, right? But I even want to say like the impact on the individuals who consume it, right? Versus general impact commercially, because, it does take a certain level of machine to push art to a level of forefront. So can I just say, just because you got more fans, like I'm better or worse than you?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that doesn't really necessarily make sense, because some people do it opposite. Corey, because you're more popular, my art is better, right?
Yeah.
And you might say, Sean, because you're less popular, your art, you know what I mean? Like or it's better or worse. And like neither one of those are actually the thing, because we have timing and all these other factors. I don't think we can deduce it to that, but like somebody, like my point bringing it up is the fact that Andre, somebody like him, was able to acknowledge that about themselves, kind of speaks to, one, the subjectivity of art, but two, again, so many of these things that we measure. Like people like to say, oh, they want to have a music or art conversation or even a song conversation, but say, oh man, how can he be better than him when this guy has more platinum albums or just higher Billboard accolades? And that's like their main argument. It's like, I thought we were talking about the music. I thought we were talking about the art. It doesn't mean that we can't say any of that stuff doesn't matter, but it's like, to what extent do we have to suppress the weight of those numbers? Because there's so much, like, especially somebody in the industry, bro. Like, it's so much that goes along with hitting the numbers. It's wild to be a part of the machine and the mechanisms, and then also act like it's the music itself that's making all that happen, while you sell yourself as you're the reason it's happening. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
I agree. I think it's only there because it's the only part of an intangible thing that feels tangible, right? Like it's like everything else about music is so intangible. Like the artists tell us, oh, it was the emotion and the energy in the room that created this. I can't touch that. I can't see that. You know what I'm saying? But I can see the album sales. I can see the streams, right? I can see that when I play this song in this party of 100 people, that is 40 of them kind of looking at their phones because they don't know what's, you know what I'm saying, going on. And like, so I think that to your point, there was a point where the vast majority of artists were musical and they were playing that, maybe they weren't playing that game, but the entities behind them were playing that game. And so there was, I do think, a point in time where 9 times out of 10 you did get both. You got the musicality and you got not the hit, but you got that commercial side of it, right? Like they were a lot of those artists were able to walk both of those lines really well. I'm gonna go give you Thriller, you know what I'm saying? And I'm going to go give you, you know what I'm saying, some B-side cut that your grandma going to love and going to play for you at the family cookout 30, 40 years from now.
And we're going to make Thriller musical and meaningful in its own way, right? But I think it's not that humans have changed. The opportunistic nature has always existed that could have resulted in a lot of the less meaningful music we have today, or the less musical and artistic music we have today. That always existed in terms of our behavior and incentives. Problem is, willing to behave towards certain incentives, but the problem is back then we just didn't have those options.
Yeah.
Right? Like literally, if you were in music, you had to really care about music because it wasn't as much money in music for artists. It wasn't as much of a lick to hit.
Yeah,
the success rate was so much lower, right? Like everybody was in bands, right? So you're not even just a solo artist where you could just sing in a lot of cases. There's so much artist development. People had to be that. So sometimes if you know, grandma, grandpa, them folks want to talk about how much better, you're like, hey man, you had the privilege of having no option but being great. But like, hey, look, I could get richer than you did and go further than you did just from being halfway popping in some Pro Tools and just hopping on the track, speaking my woes, and it connects. Like, it just is what it is. All right. But hey, if you had my way out, you would have did the same thing. Like, let's be real. And many of them probably would think about it and be like, all right, you know what? I might have did that.
Yeah.
It's
100%.
just,
100%.
It's just, it's a different time. You know what I mean? Like, but like, to me, it's hard to argue the dilution. I think there's probably just as many great musicians or people who have that talent, right? It's just the fact we have more present, right? The water has been diluted, right? You put that sugar in the water and you add more water. It's not that you have less sugar in the cup. You just got more water. Mm-hmm. That's all it is.
Yeah.
So, would love to know what y'all think about this conversation, in terms of what is the most important factor in terms of what means great music, but also, do you think your fans' opinion matter? How much does it matter? What do you think they think great music looks like? And do you agree with how we bust down the difference? Music, art, songs. Do you have a fourth category? Let us know. Educate us. In the meantime, hold up. Want to give a couple shout outs again, just because a couple of, like I said, I had some conversations with my homies. I don't need to shout some of those people out that I was debating with. Corey's obviously here. Don't got to shout this guy out. However, again, some of my inspirations for even thinking to finally having this conversation on the front end was Joe Budden podcast. Somebody saying that GNX was their favorite. I think it was Ian, or Ian thinks that would, no, not Ian, Parks said that he thinks that GNX was the best project that Kendrick came out with, possibly. Do you agree with that? Yes or no?
Like, he said ever or just recently? Ever? Nah, not ever.
I think that has the most replay value. We can have a short conversation.
Ever sounded crazy.
We can have a short conversation about that, because I didn't get into that part. I think that actually has the most replay value for me personally, right? But I don't necessarily think it might be his best project. And then, but before I go too far in that direction, then I got to shout out Justin Hunt, the company man himself. This is the Culture United 3. When you did that was the first one of those Culture Uniteds I caught. I love them. Hope you keep doing them. Even though I haven't seen the first two, I assume the quality's all there. Actually, I think I did see one of the other ones. And Curtis King, shout out to you. Professor Sky, never talked to him before, but I saw him when they were in the Kendrick battles. I don't know if you ever saw his breakdowns.
No, I didn't.
He's dope. Rob Markman, obviously a legend in the game. Hadn't been aware of just Jeremy Hecht and Friday before, but appreciate y'all's contribution to the pod. Back to GNX as well.
Over Damn? You think it has more replay?
I'm not a big Damn fan, to be real. I know.
Well, damn, there go my whole argument.
Yeah, hey, but it's just personal. I don't replay Damn that much, but it's not all right. Let's be clear here. All of Kendrick's projects are great to me. the four that you would, Good Kid, Mad City, To Pimp a Butterfly.
Oh yeah, Good Kid, Mad City. Oh yeah,
Damn, and obviously GNX, right? All of them are great in their own right. I think replay value, I will play GNX songs more than I will play. I'm not saying like songs consistently from the other based on my actual behavior. I've played all these other projects before, and I see myself repeating many of these songs already more than I repeated those songs. Do I think it's his best project? Remember, I don't think replay value is the main measure of what greatness is.
I agree.
So I don't necessarily think GNX is his best project overall. No. But, that goes to a conversation about Mr. Morale, and I think people are to rank that improperly. Even if the rest of his albums and where it lies in his catalog, I just think people think too little of Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. But what do you think is his best project? And which one has the most replay value? Is it the same for you? Personally?
I think his project with the most replay value, for me, it's tied between Damn and Good Kid, Mad City. I think his best project, or I say this because it's hard to say best. I think his most artistic project is To Pimp a Butterfly. I think To Pimp a Butterfly in turn, actually, I can't say that either because I just took myself back to the Damn rollout and how he was Kung Fu Kenny and was really like living the character out in real life and committing. So
I think it would have to be between Damn and To Pimp a
Butterfly.
Butterfly.
Yeah.
If we said artistic, if we wanted to go hard on that measure. Ooh, actually no. Mr. Morale, I think it might be more artistic than as a body of work and what got put together and impact and the going left. Holistically, I think that might be more artistic than
To Pimp a Butterfly, crazy.
Damn.
Oh, then Damn, okay. So you put it above Damn but under To Pimp a Butterfly.
Artistic, I would put Damn. I would put To Pimp a Butterfly and Mr. Morale, Big Steppers. I don't know which one. I have to think a little bit harder on which one I think is best artistically. But Damn is, Kendrick's very artistic generally. If we say his top three, is obviously Damn, Mr. Morale, and To Pimp a Butterfly for me. I think that Good Cat, Mad City would be a tier below those, and then GNX will be below all of them in terms of artistic.
See, because I feel like if we look at the spectrum, right?
Which Kendrick's artistic low is way higher.
Yeah, it's still high. Yeah, exactly.
So let's be clear there.
But if we look at the spectrum and it's all the way RC and let's say this is all the way commercially viable. I feel like Mr. Morales is the extreme left.
That's as RC as it gets.
I agree, yeah.
Yes.
I think Good Kid, Mad City is as close to just a commercial project that he's created. I feel like Damn.
You think you think Good Kid, Mad City is more commercial than GNX? Actually, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Because
that's his breakout album, but he has shit to prove.
Because GNX also has the West Coast specificity that takes away from some of the commercials. So okay, I'll give you that.
Yeah, he put 4 people on there that you probably had never heard of if you went out there. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? We need that, but it definitely threw me off. But I think that Damn is the closest he's gotten to perfectly hitting the middle. Damn to me is the perfect marriage. Or maybe I'm thinking, I think
yes.
Damn to me is the perfect marriage of both sides of it. Yeah.
All three.
Yeah.
Music, art, and songs.
Yeah.
Damn is probably the best in terms of those, which might make it the best project if we had to go very technical and not my personal meaning and what I like. Yeah. Yes, I would probably agree with that.
Like I said, my personal favorite is To Pimp a Butterfly. So I'm saying that, you know what I'm saying?
To Pimp a Butterfly, I think is probably his most musical. If I put it in that category, I would say To Pimp a Butterfly. Is Mr. Morale in that category? Maybe.
I feel like if you put To Pimp a Butterfly, you might have to put Mr. Morale in there.
Yeah. Possibly.
The live instruments was live instrumenting on that. You know what I'm saying?
That helps. It doesn't have to be live instruments to be musical, but it does help. Then you have a song like that's so beautiful, like the Luther song on GNX.
See, man, you getting caught up in like current hype, man. You gotta come back to this after you don't have time to get bored with it, you know. And then like,
what you mean, like replay value? No, the replay value, I guarantee you, I will have way higher on GNX personally. I will play those songs more. And I don't even mean all the songs. It's all right. It's really down to Luther. What song? I would probably play TV Off quite a bit. You know what my personal most played Kendrick song is? Guess. You get 3 guesses. Guess quick, because you're probably not gonna guess.
Humble.
Nope.
Damn. It's
I don't think I've ever played Humble on purpose.
It's like a B-side?
And I don't hate that song. It's probably considered a B-side.
Oh, yeah, I feel like I don't guess.
I don't even think it's not even on the album. Technically, it's on the mixtape. It's Section 80.
Oh, well, I feel like I know exactly what song you're talking about. Hold on, wait, let me go look at Section 80. I feel like as soon as I see the track list, I'm gonna know exactly what song it is. Cause that the one with cartoons and cereal on it.
Yep, that's it.
That's a cartoon cereal. Yeah, I was about to say
that is my personal. I play that song more than any other Kendrick song. And again, obviously, you know, am I ranking on greatness, etc.? Like my personal is very different than. It's just like saying your favorite basketball player versus who you acknowledge as the best basketball player of all time. There's many people who think Michael Jordan is the best basketball player of all time, but that wasn't their personal favorite basketball player. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, Kobe's my favorite, but I know that Jordan's the best. Or I didn't even watch Jordan, but I know he's the best, but he can't be my personal favorite. So that's kind of how I think about those joints. So, yes, between Luther and I think that will exceed how much I play cartoons and cereal because I could play it in more environments with more people. Like I be playing that in my car by myself. I can't. Like my wife would be like, turn that off if I play that too many times. Cause I'll play that thing like 5 times back to back. So I could play Luther, and then what else? TV Off. I see. Let me see, and then what else? Man in the Garden. To me, that's like a mantra song.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like so I could see playing that junk just for like inspiration type junk. So, but anyway. Again, you know, my approach to the catalog is a little different, and my favorites or what my behavior plays the most doesn't mean that that's my personal favorite, and my personal favorite doesn't mean that I think it's the best. So that's the way I think about it.
No, it's real. Spoken like a mature music fan.
Facts. I'm Redman Sean.
And I'm Corey.
This is yet another episode of No Labels Necessary, and we out.
Peace.
Appreciate you for watching. If you like content like this, you'll love seeing our music marketing strategies that we use as an agency to actually blow up artists to millions and even billions of streams that are available for free at nolabelsnecessary.com. And the cool part about it that's going to really make you love it is we don't have to be all entertaining and add all this fluff just to get some views that we do on YouTube. We get straight to the information. There's play-by-play and courses that give you a breakdown of every step that you should do to get success. And you have the ability to have communication with us. We get on live talks, a lot of cool things for members, and it's free just to hop in. So check it out right now at nolabelsnecessary.com.